Hey, welcome to Backyard Bows. I'm Brandon, and today we're going to take a look at some Hawk ladder stands. So Hawk is a company, they make way more than ladder stands. If you go online, they make climber stands, they make hang-on stands, sticks, accessories. They're owned by GSM. If you've ever heard of GSM, they own an absolute ton of hunting, fishing, all kinds of stuff. Some really cool stuff. We use some stealth cameras that are also made by GSM and a variety of broadheads and stuff too. So GSM as a whole is an outdoorsman's company. I mean, they own a little bit of everything. But they also own a Hawk stand. So I first started using Hawk stands maybe 3 years ago. So I've always climbed in. A lot of the properties that I've been able to hunt at do not allow me to leave a footprint. So I can't even do much trimming. So I get in, I get out, try to be undetected. A lot of my clients who let me hunt on their properties, they're like, I don't care if you do it, but my wife better not see, that kind of thing. So we do what we can. I have one property, and I've had one property for about 5 years that does not care. They let me put up stands. I have 3 Hawk stands now on this property. And we'll talk about placement and a little bit of pros and cons of ladder stands climbers here in a second. But Hawk stands in particular, the main reason I love them is because I am a big dude, okay? And I have a bad back. So sitting comfortably for long periods of time is vital to me. I mean, it's a game changer. If you get uncomfortable, you get down. And somebody like me with a bad back, I think one of the most important things is the angle at which you're sitting and kind of that chair, that comfortability, the support for your back, all of that. They're single stands. So they got the Sasquatch, the Big Denali, they have a Bighorn, all of them. All of their single stands are like 21 inches, 20 inches. They call them 1.5, 1.5 man stands. They're just huge. They're for the bigger guy, directed towards us. Very, very comfortable, first and foremost. Okay, you can sit in them very comfortably for long periods of time. To me, that is huge. Secondly, I love the fact that when you put these finally together, so me and one of my stepsons set this one up. A couple pointers, when you're setting it up, the big bag of screws is gonna come in just one huge bag. Separate like screws, put on each screw a metal nut or a metal washer and a plastic washer just to begin with. That'll make the whole process so much quicker because it does take some time. It took us about maybe an hour and a half and then another hour once we got in the woods to finally get this thing in a tree stand. So it's kind of a process. But the best part about these ones, if you are in a spot where you know there's gonna be a lot of deer, pinch point, on the edge of some heavy trails, if you know the property and you know that there's gonna be a good spot for this stand, there might be only one tree that it works with, but you can be reassured that you can leave it there, which I love. So one of the stands I've left to the property, it's on the same tree. The other one I have moved, not too far, but I've moved it around kind of in that general area, maybe one ridge over. Because again, once you get them down in there, they're kind of a pain to move around. You need some help, okay? So what I did is I set it up maybe 70% here, and then I take big pieces and I go refinish setting it up in the woods whenever I find whatever tree I scout and I decide which one I'm gonna go with. That's when I'll kind of finish putting it together and then I'll put it up and set it up. This year, something new, we went with the Sidewinder by Hawk, okay? And the reason being is I have 3 kids, all of them have expressed wanting to sit in the tree, kind of wanting to observe and be on a hunt with me. This thing is a 2-seater. I love the idea of this stand, okay? The design, it places both people, instead of 2 big chairs out in front over the top, it kind of tucks both hunters or observers, being the kid, kind of back into the tree. So it's a little bit more sleek design. Kind of keeps you a little bit more covered. After I got this one up, I'll be honest, I don't think I feel comfortable with 2 big boys on there. Okay, it gives a poundage. I don't want to be anywhere close to that 500 pounds. So like me and my brothers, it's out of the option. All right, but me and a little kid, I think it's totally within the weight limit range, but there is not a lot of room. So the platform on this one is a little bit smaller than I would like. The platform on the other one's also a little bit smaller than I like. The one good thing, because I feel like these are probably geared towards the rifle hunter. The reason I like them for bow hunting is because the chair itself is actually big enough that you can maneuver around on the chair. I'm constantly putting a knee down on it, shooting over the back atop me. I've actually stood on one of the Sasquatches and shot from that angle. So again, these chairs are so sturdy and so big, you can kind of maneuver around on them, but the platforms on each of them are not as big as you would like them to be. Okay, as a bow hunter, I mean, they're minimal. And that's what we always talk about with foot placement and kind of how close I keep my feet in all of our freestyle shoots. Is that's kind of like Every platform you get 18 foot up, it's not gonna be as big as you want. You're usually in a tight space, tight foot space, so I kind of practice how I play. I guess the other main difference between the Sidewinder and the other large one-seaters that I have is the seats themselves. These ones are a little bit smaller. The angle at which that I mentioned earlier that is really nice, being able to sit back comfortably a little bit. These ones are a little bit more erect, just the way they're placed on the tree. But I think this will do for its purpose, which is occasionally, if one of the kids wants to come, I have this thing set up on an awesome kind of crosshairs trail right on this ridge side. I think it's gonna be perfect. I already got lots of traffic, pictures, all kinds of stuff, does. So I think it's gonna be a perfect spot to expose them to one of these hunts and kind of get them in the action, which is cool. And then the other two, I have placed one at the top of a CRP field, and then the other one at a pinch point where two big, large forests kind of come together at a corner of farm fields. Right at that point, there's so much traffic in there. I've left that stand up in there for 3 years. I've killed so many deer out of it. It's just a perfect location. And the only thing I've had to do to that stand is I get up there, I'll cut the old strap if it gets too tight, and I'll re-put a strap on just so it doesn't bust while I'm up there. But that's the only thing. The actual stand itself is held together really, really nice. Both of these products, actually all three of them, all of their ladder stands, if you're a bigger guy, you're looking to be comfortable and looking to have something that you know you're gonna be safe in, because that's the other thing. It has to hold your weight. You have to feel safe up in that tree. All of these are as solid as you can get. So if you're new to hunting, pros of hunting aerial, man, there's so many in, you know, right off the top of your head. The first one is kind of your ability, your sight, your ability to see what you're hunting sooner, which allows you to have more time to set up, find the right shot, and be more stealthily on your end as a bow hunter. That's so important. So giving you that time, being able to see something from farther away. Also, it covers your scent and you're not in their natural line of sight. Okay, so they still see you. I mean, if you make a whole bunch of movements, it doesn't matter that you're off the ground, but it's not a natural line of sight. So it's easier to be more stealthy. Again, it covers your scent a little bit better being high up in a tree. I've always loved being a bow hunter, hunting in some areas that are kind of close quarters, neighbors. I love the fact that my arrow is going into the ground too. Like, I love the aerial shot. I like shooting downward. I like always being able to find my arrow stuck in the ground to kind of to assess and start that next process of tracking. That's kind of vital too. So there are so many benefits of aerial hunting. Now, climbing in, the difference between ladder and climbing in, I think the obvious one is just versatility and maneuverability. The ladder stands, once you get them set up, you're not really gonna wanna move them around in the middle of a season, even though you can. I like to get them in right about now, nice and early in July, June, let them sit in there. The deer become comfortable with them. It's something that they've seen over and over again, and it's not something that's just out of nowhere, kind of pops up in the middle of their backyard. So I guess that's the only other thing is, you know, I always love having my climber stand in my truck. I'll sit some hunts in a ladder stand on this property. If I see that most of the movement is happening a ridge over, or maybe they've kind of changed their route that year or from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, I can always use my climber stand and kind of be a little bit more versatile since these are set in stone. But it is nice to have this. And I think the nicest part about a ladder stand is that it's set up. The time it takes me to get in, my bow hung up, ready to shoot a shot nice and still, 15 seconds. I mean, that is a game changer if you hunt like me. Sometimes I get off work at 2:30. I have to drive my 45 minutes to the property, get in, get up in a tree, pushing 3:30, 3:45. I mean, that's super nice to have occasionally, just to be able to get in, sit down, ready to go. Also, it's so quiet. If you set it up right, it should not have very little movement, very little noise. I also love that about these hawk stands, is that they're very, very quiet. Okay, so once you get it really strapped down, really nice and tight, and it's secure, and there's very little movement in the ladder and on the stand part, there's not a lot of noise, which is huge, because again, you can get in with 15 seconds and make no noise getting in. That's awesome. I'm used to a climber stand, and until, you know, 3 or 4 years using that thing in the field, I probably made a ton of noise. You know, I'm just now very comfortable and stealthy with my climber. But I've used it constantly. So that's the other big benefit of these. I think the only true negative of kind of climbing in and ladder stands is that you're open to the elements. It gets windy up there. It gets cold. You're open to rain, drizzle, all of it. So I think that's the major negative that versus a blind. But I think there's so many more positives with aerial hunting that I'm willing to withstand the elements. Is kind of the way I look at it. So if, like I said, if you're a bigger guy or you're just somebody who just wants a nice comfortable seat, something durable, make a little investment, these are anywhere between $300 and $400, but I think you're getting what you're paying for. If you have any questions on how to set it up, how to pick a tree, any of that stuff, anything, if you're new to hunting and you have a little bit, a couple questions about any of it, leave it in the comments. We'll be happy to answer it. Message me directly. You can always email me going through the website, but we're happy to kind of walk you through some of it. Hawk stands, I absolutely love them. I'll keep them in the field. And I think for the price, they're the best bang for your buck when it comes to ladder stands. We'll see you next time.